session. And the reason I'm going to do this is that after we finish, I'll be able to make this session available as a YouTube link to your LI801 professors. And then if they want, they can just go ahead and embed that YouTube video on your Canvas courses. So you can always go ahead and review that again. So, well, first of all, hello from Emporia as well. This is Cynthia Kane, and I am so happy that I can join you all this way. It's kind of neat in a way because I'm here in Emporia talking with the Emporia group, LI801XB, but I'm also talking to our other two sections. And the reason I'm doing it this way is that in reality, all of you are going to be doing your research at a distance, whether you live in Emporia or another town, or for our cohort groups, other states. And what I like to do in my library presentations is actually show you what it looks like when you are accessing our library services and resources off campus, so that I can actually mirror everything that you're going to be doing as well. You'll feel a little bit more comfortable with that. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to go through our library's webpage. I'm going to highlight with some topics how to search the most effectively in our discovery search, which is basically our library catalog, but also our library databases that you're going to be using throughout your SLIM curriculums to do research, to find articles. I'm also going to cover some very practical things, such as, let's say you're in a database and you don't necessarily find the full text of an article immediately. What do you do next? I'm going to show you how you can verify if that article actually appears in another database that the library has. And if we don't have access to it in any way, shape, or form, I will also show you how to do an interlibrary loan request to have the items actually delivered to you. For distance students, I'm also going to cover how you can actually request that books that are owned by the Emporia Campus Library be sent to you through document delivery. You don't necessarily have to do this if you have access to a good interlibrary loan service through your local campus library or local public library. But the big thing I want to emphasize today is that you all have equitable access to information no matter where you happen to be. And at the same time, I am your librarian liaison for all the time frame that you're in the SLIM program. So if you ever have any questions about how to do research, or you're getting stuck on trying to research a topic and you're just not necessarily finding what you need, reach out to me. I'll make sure that you have my contact information when we finish today, but I will also say to you that I am more than happy to do this type of Zoom research appointment for you. Sometimes what I find with students is that we can email back and forth, and it's kind of like texting back and forth. You can do that for a long time and you're not necessarily getting that far. But if we can set up a Zoom research appointment, if you're having any difficulties with finding information, we can share our screens back and forth just like we're going to be doing today. And then sometimes we can solve an issue or a problem within just a few minutes rather than emailing back and forth. So definitely keep that in mind as well. I am happy to help you with anything that you need when it comes to research. So I'm going to start sharing my screen for you at this point. And what I'm going to do is actually click on this tab. And again, I'll be kind of looking for a thumbs up. Are you all seeing a page that says Emporia State University with the University Libraries and Archives? Awesome, that's exactly what I wanted. So this is going to be our starting point for everything that we do today. And the first thing I'm going to do is actually retype something that's a shortcut to our library's homepage. If you were just go to library.emporia.edu, that will take you directly to the library's webpage. And those of you who have your laptops with you, if you'd like to follow along as I start searching, you are more than welcome to do that. I'm also going to keep an eye out for our chat box because as we go along, I want to allow time for questions after I do my presentation. But as we also go along today, if there's anything that you would like to ask, anything that occurs to you, I'd be more than happy to pause and then go over that as well. So there's actually more than one way to get to the library's homepage. You can go, like we said, to library.emporia.edu. However, if you were already at the main ESU webpage, www.emporia.edu. And if you scroll down to the very bottom of the page, you will see a link at the bottom of every page for Emporia for the libraries and archives. You can just click on that link, and that will also take you back to the library's webpage. One more way of getting to the library is if you are already in one of your Canvas course portals. So if you were already in LI801XB or XH, for example, once you're in a Canvas course, you would see some links to the left side of your page, and one link is for the library and archives. At that point, you could click on that link, and then you would be prompted to open the library's webpage in another tab on your browser. So if you're already on Canvas, look for the library and archives link, and then you can just go from there. So the reason we're emphasizing this today is that something that you're going to be asked to do throughout your SLIM curriculum is do some pretty heavy-duty research, scholarly journal articles, books, and so forth. And one thing we want you to feel comfortable with at the outset of your SLIM curriculum is to know how to navigate the library and where to find that most credible and reliable information. So we're going to be focusing today on actually 3 tabs: the Discovery Search, the Databases tab, and finally the Journals tab. And the first thing I'm going to do is go over here. As we go along today, I am going to give you different tips that I've kind of found out throughout the years for more effective searching. So this is the first tip I'm going to give you. You notice that I opened another tab on my browser, and I actually took that tab back to the same library homepage. I just went to library.emporia.edu. And you might be thinking, well, why did Cynthia do that? Because she was already at the library's homepage. Well, the reason I did that is that from time to time, we are going to need to refer back to the library's homepage to do some things, such as seeing if we have access to the full text of an article that we find in a database. If you keep one tab open, always back to the library's homepage, you will not have to go back and forth, and more importantly, you're not going to lose your search within a database, because nobody wants to do that. So we're going to go back to my original tab on the library's homepage. And I'm going to focus now on some differences between these 2 tabs, the Discovery Search and Databases. So a question we get from a lot of our students, because it's actually not too clear on here, is where's the library catalog? I just want to see if this library owns a book, either a print book or, in your cases, perhaps do we have an e-book on your topic, an electronic book. The Discovery Search is actually our library catalog, but it is a lot more than that. The Discovery Search actually encompasses both print books, e-books, and also some full text of articles from a lot of different databases. Now, there's a caveat with that, or a caution. Because the Discovery Search is so large, it is incredibly easy to get overwhelmed, especially if you are just starting to explore a topic for a research project, for example, and you just want to see what's out there. So I'm going to take a topic right now. I'm going to search for it in the Discovery Search, but then I'm going to show you your next tip for better researching. I'm going to show you how to manage and limit your search in the Discovery Search so that you're focusing a little bit more specifically on what it is that you really want to find from Emporia State University's library. So I think that I'm going to do a search on public libraries. I'm using the word "and" to narrow my search. You don't actually have to capitalize the word "and" when you're using that, when you're combining keywords in a search. I tend to do it because I can see it a little bit better when I'm doing a demonstration. And I'm interested in public libraries and program, but I'm actually going to put an asterisk after that. This may look familiar to some of you if you've done any type of advanced searching in databases in your undergraduate career or in other programs. The asterisk is actually kind of a universal sign in databases. It's called truncation. And truncation simply means that I am going to find variant endings of a word. So in this case, I want public libraries, and I'm interested in programs, programming. What that will do is actually explode my search a little bit so that I'll be getting all those variant endings of the word for the root word of program. So we're going to go ahead and search now. And be prepared, because we are going to get quite a bit of information. That is not an exaggeration, and this is why I want you to be much more comfortable and familiar with the way you can manage the discovery search so that you're getting something a little bit more specifically on what you need. Now, this is kind of interesting. The discovery search can indeed work for some articles. And I love this first one that came up, Yoga at the Public Library, an exploratory survey of Canadian and American librarians. That is actually an article. It is not a book. It's from a journal called the Journal of Library Administration. You will notice that I have a choice to view the PDF full text of this article if I were interested in it, or I could actually save it to Google Drive. And I'm going to show you how you can do that in a little bit in certain databases. But something I want to call your attention to, and this is actually why I am doing this search from my home, because I want you to be able to see exactly what you would need to do when you're doing this same type of search. You see this little link up here that says, hello guest, log in for full access. If you are in the Discover search, click on that just as soon as you get that prompt. And the reason is, you're actually going to log in with your ESU username, which is the same thing you would use when you would be doing things like logging into your student email and your password, your associated password. And the reason we want to do that just as soon as we saw that prompt on the discovery search is that now I am authenticated off campus as being affiliated with ESU. As long as I do not exit this search in my browser, I am not going to have to log back in again to any databases or anything else. It's recognizing me as being affiliated with ESU. And notice that little guest went away. So now it's saying my library account and so forth. If you're not already in the discovery search and you go directly to a database and you click on the name of a database, such as Library and Information Science Complete, you're going to get that same prompt to enter your username and password. Same thing applies. As long as you do not exit this browser or exit your session in your browser, you won't have to log back in again. So if I decided that I really liked this article, this first article, I clicked on it, and since I'm authenticated now, I can click on PDF full text and let that load a little bit. And there's the article. So that was pretty easy to do in the discovery search. But like I said, I'm going to show you a little bit more of what you can do in the discovery search if you were more interested in finding print books or ebooks. Notice over here, though, I mentioned that there's a way of saving things to the cloud. If I were to click on this icon here for Google Drive, I could sign in to my Google Drive account. You all do have access to Google Drive, by the way, with your g.emporia.edu accounts. So that's a super easy way of saving your articles. You can create folders within Google Drive and just keep track of a lot of research projects that way. Now, I promised I was going to show you something else as we go along on different tips. I am not going to click on my back button as I normally would to go back to my search. I'm actually going to click on this link called Result List. The reason I'm doing that is that, keep in mind now, I'm logged in with my ESU username and password. And you may have had instances in which you might be filling out a form online, and if you click on that back button, it says resubmit that information. That's what happens within this service and within databases as well if you click on just your regular back button. If you have a prompt within a database, or in this case the discovery service, to click on your result list instead, click on that to go back to your results. That will save your login and you won't get logged back out or get a message to resubmit your login information. So that's a lot to go through. I really would like to see, first of all, if we have any print books that might talk about public libraries and programming. So you notice what I did over here? I said I only wanted print books. We've already limited this to ESU has it, but now I only want print books. So now I'm making this actually work more as a library catalog. Now, those of you who are not in Emporia, you might say, well, that sounds great, but I'm not actually in Emporia to check out a print book, so why would I want to do that? This is where you can take advantage of our services that we offer to you as Emporia State University students. If you found a book that was owned by the Emporia Campus Library, like record number 3, Adult Programs in the Library, I'd like to read that book. You can use our interlibrary loan link. Remember I said we're going to keep a tab open to the library's webpage? This is why. You can use our interlibrary loan link to request that a print book actually be mailed to your address, but that's what you would do through interlibrary loan. So if you're not living in Emporia, but you would like to get access to books that are owned by the Emporia Campus Library, by all means do that. I'm going to go back over here. And then what I could do on my interlibrary loan link is just copy and paste this information, and then we would go ahead, we check out the book to you on your student account, and then we would mail it to you. You would be responsible for the cost of mailing it back to the library, but please keep in mind, that's a way that we can give you access to what we have here. But now I'm kind of curious. We're starting to get more ebooks or electronic books in our library. Oh, this first one, this looks really interesting. So what I did in this case is click on ebooks. And this is something that I want to make sure that you're aware of as students in different locations for our different cohort groups. So the ebooks that we have available through the library are often available through something called EBSCOhost. EBSCOhost is actually a vendor. And they offer access not only to ebooks, but also to different databases that we'll be looking at in just a second as well. Now, a lot of you may actually be very comfortable with ebooks, maybe through your local public library. Here in Kansas, we have a service called Cloud Library that's actually through our State Library of Kansas. And I use that extensively on my Kindle to borrow a lot of ebooks, because I really like to do that. This is slightly similar, but it's a little bit different simply because different publishers have different regulations and different permissions that they offer to academic libraries. So I'm actually going to look at record number 2. One of the hats that I wear here in the library is assessment, and so I'm always interested in outcome-based planning, evaluation of services, and so forth. So this second record is called 5 Steps of Outcome-Based Planning and Evaluation for Public Libraries, and is indeed an ebook. I really want to see what this looks like. So we're going to click on PDF full text. Remember, I'm already logged in. And as I noted, these ebooks are going to work a little bit differently than an ebook that you might borrow from your local public library. This is going to allow me to scroll down here, and just from my computer, I can go ahead and I can read the book online. And I can also go over here and navigate it by the different chapters. And I really love being able to do that. So there's chapter 3, Determining Outcomes, and we can scroll down here. And I can go ahead and read that book online. So I'm going to go back up here for just a second. What we're trying to do, whenever possible, with our ebooks, with our electronic books, is to look for publishers that provide these types of permissions, and this one is a good example. This one would allow you, as an ESU student, to print or email or save a maximum of 100 pages from this ebook. You cannot save the entire book because that would be like saving the book for free, and I don't really want you to do that. You can copy and paste. It looks like it is unlimited, so I suppose you could do the whole thing if you wanted to, but I probably wouldn't. But you can copy and paste different chapters or maybe different quotes from the ebook to use if you're writing a paper. Unrestricted download and unlimited copies available. That means that if you wanted to check out this book virtually, you could click on full download, and you're going to be prompted to sign into something called My EBSCOhost account. We're going to cover this in just a second to go along. So what this is doing right now is taking me to my EBSCOhost account, and I can actually create an account, or I could sign in with my emporia.edu, or in this case, you could sign in like you would with Google Drive with your g.emporia.edu account. I'm going to see if it saved my information here. There it goes. And in this case, this will let me download the entire book as a PDF or an EPUB, and it's like checking out a regular book. It will let me actually download it and borrow it for 14 days. So I certainly could do that if that was what I wanted to do. Or like I said, I may just choose to read the ebook online. I wanted to spend a little bit of time with that because in some of your SLIM classes, and I've been working with some of your SLIM professors with this as well, some of your textbooks for future classes we may be able to make available as ebooks just like this one. That means that if you were comfortable using the ebook as your textbook, just like we're looking at here, you would have the option of doing that and you would not have to actually pay for the textbook. If you decided that you were more comfortable purchasing the print copy of the textbook, you could certainly do that if you felt like you would rather pay for that. But we're trying that more and more because we're very cognizant of the expense of textbooks and also the accessibility. So that may be something that you will see more and more in your future SLIM classes if we are able to find these textbooks available like this one is as an EBSCOhost book. I'm going to pause right now. Questions at this point? Okay, I'm not seeing anything pop up right now, so I am going to go back over here, and now I am going to do my back button because I do want to go back to the library's homepage. So, like I said, I wanted to spend a little bit of time going over the discovery search and showing you how you can make that work if you're looking more specifically for print books that are owned by the library or ebooks that you might have access to. Now we're going to concentrate a little bit more on specific electronic resources or electronic databases, online databases, that are specifically for library and information science research. So I clicked on the Databases tab, and I'm now going to go to All Subjects because we do have a lot of different databases available. If you know the name of a database, you can go directly to that on the A to Z list. But if you want to explore what we have available, specifically in library and information science, you can go directly to that subject area. And we do have a lot that are available. As I wrap up, I'm going to come back to this one in just a second, Academic Writer, which is from the American Psychological Association, because I want to show you something quickly on that. And I also want to do a plug on some upcoming workshops that we have that you could participate in through Zoom. But what we find here is that we do have a lot of different resources that are related to the library and information science field. One that we're not going to look at today, but I want to bring your attention to, or YA young adult literature. Children's Literature Comprehensive Database is one that you may want to use if that's something you're interested in. It does link to over 400,000 book reviews and related information about children's literature, So this can be a really good one to use if you're ever doing a lesson plan or trying to do like a collection development plan for children's or YA books in a particular genre or subject area. Another one that you'll be asked to look at in different SLIM classes, you may be asked at some point to find a specific article from the Encyclopedia of Library and Information Sciences. Think of this one as a database. So this is where you're going to find it. You would find it in the Databases tab. This one is a little bit different. It does not have a very nice search mechanism, but you can browse it by article, and you can also do a search and find to find the specific article or articles that you may be asked to look at for different SLIM classes, but that's under the Databases tab. This is the one we're going to focus on now, if Library and Information Science Source. Now notice something here. Remember that when I was in that discovery search, I signed in already with my username and my password because I have not exited that session. It's leaving me as signed in, so I don't have to go back and sign in anything again. So at the graduate level, this is something you want to do. So Library and Information Science Source is going to be my go-to actually for more specific journal articles about all aspects of library and information management, all types of libraries, types of audiences, and so forth. You did see that I could get articles from the discovery search, but that's really not going to be as comprehensive or as specific as within something called Library and Information Science Source. This is going to be my go-to. So next tip. When you are in a database, particularly in graduate school, always go to an advanced search in a database. The reason is the advanced search is really going to let you focus your search for information much more specifically than doing a broad basic search, which may come up with a lot of information, but it's just not going to be that focused. So let's do public libraries and programming again. But notice I'm doing something here that's a little bit different. I'm going to be doing a keyword search again on public libraries and programming, but I only want those words to pop up in the abstracts of the articles. The reason I must do that is that there is a lot of full text in Library and Information Science Source. If I don't limit that keyword search by abstract, it's going to go out and it's going to look for all instances of the words public libraries, programs, programming within the full text of those articles, even if they are not that relevant to my information needs. So if you ever get a lot of results in a search but they don't seem that pertinent, that's probably what's going on. The abstract will actually focus that search a little bit more. I'm also going to go down here, and I'm going to say that I only want scholarly or peer-reviewed journals. And that's something that you may be asked to do by many of your SLIM professors. They're going to say, I really want you to focus on peer-reviewed journals that are actually more scholarly, more professional in focus than like a general magazine or general newsletter. Now, I am not going to do something right now, and I'll show you why in just a second. I am not going to limit my search just to full text of articles. The reason I'm not going to do that is that I might actually eliminate some articles that would be really good for my information need that might be available elsewhere. So we don't want to limit to full text. I can limit further if I wanted to really focus on an academic journal. And we're going to go back up here, and we're going to do public libraries. And you notice that this is another reason why I really like using a database for this type of search. Let the database help you brainstorm some different ideas or some keywords. It's more difficult to do that in a discovery search, but in something like Library and Information Science Source, this is really going to help you. And let's just start typing in program. And I have programs and services, or I could do what I did before, which is truncate that with that asterisk, and let's see what happens. I have a lot of information there. In reality, I would want to narrow that down a little bit more. I could narrow it down to audience, for example. Am I more interested in adult programming, YA programming, children's programming? But for right now, we're just going to use these examples because I want to show you some other things as well. Remember that EBSCOhost account that I signed into to check out that ebook. That same EBSCOhost account can be used in any EBSCOhost databases like Library and Information Science Source. So we're going to click on Sign In again. And I really like this part because this just saves an incredible amount of time. Let's go here. I'm going to sign in again. And let that do its thing. So having an EBSCOhost account is an incredible time saver because now I can go through these articles. Okay, record number 3 looks really interesting. Now that I am signed into my EBSCOhost account, I can start clicking on these little folder things, and I want you to notice something here. Yours is going to look a little bit different when you do this for the first time. Your EBSCOhost account within a database will actually let you create different subfolders for different research projects. And you'll notice that I had several research projects going on, including one for art therapy because I also work with those students. I can start saving these articles. I'm just going to click a few for an example. And I'm going to do one more. Let's do this one. Okay. There we go. My folder. So now when I go back up here, notice that this now says folder has items. These are the 3 that I've saved. And I also have a little folder thing up here. So I can click either place. And I have now saved these articles. I could create on this side here a new folder. And I could call this one Public Libraries and Programming. Really use this option when you start having to do a lot of research because it will just save you so much time. I'm going to scroll down here and we'll click on Save. And then I can move those articles into that subfolder that I just created, and I can keep track of everything that way. So now that we're at this point, though, I wanted to show you a couple of other things you can do with this folder. One thing that you're going to be asked to do in SLIM is actually write papers using APA style, or American Psychological Association, and do citations in that style. If you were to go over here to email, you could email these items to yourself, and you could say that you wanted those to be converted into a citation format for APA style. So you could put in your email address, and that will work with whatever you have. Put in something in the subject line, by the way, because depending on how good that spam filter is in your email, for some reason, it may recognize that EP host as a spam email, and then it's going to get trapped in there. If you put something in the subject line, sometimes that will help kind of basically eliminate the fact that it will be in the spam filter. It will kind of go around it. And I'm not going to do that right now, but I am going to go back to where I was and back again. You can also, if you prefer, go back directly to these references. Remember I said Google Drive? I was saving these in my folder in my EBSCOhost account, but I could, again, also save these to Google Drive if I did not want to create an account. And I could also go to the Cite feature over here, and I can copy and paste this particular reference in APA. I wanted to go back to this though, because here's the caution. We're actually dealing with the metadata of a record, and that's going to sound very familiar to you in a bit as you go through your SLIM classes. The metadata of this record for this article actually wound up capitalizing all of these words in the title of the article. In APA style, these words are actually not capitalized. So I would still need to go back and do some editing and some tweaking to get that into my correct APA style. So that's just kind of a caution. Now, the other thing you can do with your EBSCOhost account when you're signed into a database like Library and Information Science Sources, click on Search History. This is actually why I really like this. I do not have time right now to go through all of these results, but I don't want to lose them. So if I save this search, I can call this my Public Libraries and Programming, save it in Library and Information Science Search. And here's the beauty of doing that. I can go away for a few days, come back when I have some more time, go back to Library and Information Science Sources, my database, sign back into my EBSCOhost account, and it will have saved that search for me. So I can rerun that search without having to think about what terms did I put in, what limits did I do. And if any new articles have been added since the last time I searched, those will be retrieved in that search. So that's another reason I really do encourage you to do the EBSCOhost account. It's just really nice. I'm going to go back real quick to our search. We're going to view our results again. Because I wanted to show you one more thing on here, and then I do want to do a real quick plug, and I also want to allow time for questions. I'm keeping an eye out on our time here. So let's go back to record number 3, a library's partnership experience with University Extension to provide program content. So this is out of the Journal of Library Administration. We are not seeing the PDF full text on here. However, I would like to find this article. I really want to see if we actually have this. So I could do this. And this is why I did not limit my search to just full text available, because I would not have found this article. It would not have popped up. I'm copying the title of this article. Again, remember, I always have that tab open to the library's webpage because I don't want to lose my search. And if I were to paste the title of this article into the discovery search, this is going to show me if this is available somewhere else. Now, we happen to have a separate online periodical subscription to the Journal of Library Administration. So that came up as PDF full text, even though it didn't appear full text in the Library and Information Science database. So again, don't limit your search just to full text because you might eliminate some things. Now, let's say, just for the sake of argument, there it is, and I can click on the PDF and I can read that. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that that search didn't work in the discovery search. The other thing I could do, just to double check to see if we have access to that journal, is to go to the Journals tab. That was the third tab I wanted to show you. And I could search not by the article title this time. Within the Journals tab, I'm searching by the title of the journal. And I can actually use this to double check just in case it doesn't pop up immediately on the discovery search. This will take me to the Journal of Library Administration, and then I can go back and I can compare what I need. I need volume 59, number 4, May, June of 2019. Make sure I have the right one. Yep, volume 59, issue 4. Scroll down, and there's that same article that I can do to download the PDF. So try the discovery search first by the title of the article. If it comes up, you're good to go. If it doesn't come up, double check yourself by going to the Journals tab on the library's webpage, search by the title of the journal. And if for some reason we did not have that one, I could click on this interlibrary loan link, and I could actually then ask for a copy of that article through interlibrary loan. So I know I'm going through a lot of stuff pretty quickly. Really quick, I wanted to show you one more thing. It's actually on the Library and Information Science subject area, but it's also on the A to Z databases list. We have a new resource. This is actually not a database, it's more of a resource for APA style. It's called Academic Writer, and you do get to that by, again, going to the Databases tab. This is a really powerful resource. Academic Writer will ask you to log in first, and you do want to create an account within Academic Writer so that you can access all the centers. There are actually 3 centers in here. So it takes like about 5 seconds to create a free account. And the nice thing about this is that the 3 centers actually cover pretty much everything you would need to know about APA style, plus helping you write papers. So the Learn Center will actually give you quick tutorials, quick guides, and also sample references. So sometimes we're not quite sure how to search or how to do a citation for a journal article or even for an authored book in print. So there's a quick sample reference that you can use. And now that you're signed into your account in Academic Writer, you can actually add that to your favorites, so you could save that for future reference later on. The Reference Center will actually let you add references that you can incorporate into a paper within Academic Writer. So if you were to go to Add References, if you needed to add a reference that you weren't actually able to download for a journal article, for example, this is a template for a journal article that will just let you add all that information, and it will create the reference in correct APA style, and it will save it. You can actually export references. You can only export references, as I have found, pretty effectively within PsycInfo, which is another database, but I'm still tinkering with it to see if you can export references from other databases. So I'm still kind of in the process of learning that. The third center right is a really nice one. So the right center will actually let you save papers that you're writing within Academic Writer, or you can start writing a new paper. And depending upon what your professor might want, you notice there are some really nice templates. If you ever have to write a literature review, which you might have to do for a class or a case study, or just simply a basic paper. You can say you're going to be using this for a student assignment if you don't need an abstract or keywords. If your professor required that your paper needed to include an abstract and keywords, you would want to choose professional manuscript. So that is the difference. I am just going to do submit because I just want a student assignment. And at this point, I could just start typing in the title of my paper, Public Libraries and Programming, keeping that same topic here. Start writing. And this is now going to look, okay, I don't want any help right now, so I'm okay. Notice that that looks very similar to a Google Doc or a Microsoft Word document, but here's the great thing. This is going to format your paper automatically in Times New Roman, 12-point, double-spaced, 1-inch margins. You don't have to worry about any of that formatting. And it will let you add sections as subheadings, and it will format that automatically, and it will also help you format your references list automatically. When you finish with your paper, you can export it as a Word document or a PDF document, and then have it ready to submit. I'm going kind of fast on here because, number one, I just wanted to sort of scratch the surface of what this will do. But I also wanted to go back over here because I want to do a quick plug for something that you may have seen. I'm going to close this. If any of you are regular readers of Hornet announcements that come out in your student email, and your professors may have forwarded this information to you as well, we are offering on September 24th and September 25th, we are offering a series of free training sessions from a trainer from APA on how to use Academic Writer most effectively. So we have our student sessions set up 3 to 4 p.m. and 7 to 8 p.m. is a Central Standard Time, by the way, on Tuesday, September 24th, and Wednesday, September 25th. You can register for these. We do encourage you to click on the appropriate link if you're interested in registering for one of these sessions. However, you can participate in the session online. So we're going to have a Zoom link ready that will correspond with your specific time zone. So if you would like to participate through Zoom on one of these student training sessions on Tuesday or Wednesday on the 24th or 25th, register for the appropriate one, and then it should actually register for your appropriate time zone so you can get that on your calendar. We would love for you to do this. We would love for you to learn a little bit more about Academic Writer and really have a chance to ask questions either in person or online with a trainer from APA. So we're pretty excited about that. And we're offering training for faculty as well. We will also be recording all of these sessions. So if you'd like to know more, but you simply cannot make it during any of those times, we'll record them, we'll send out YouTube links, so you should be good to go. So I've done a lot of talking. So at this point, either through chat or through the microphones, what questions do you all have of me? And again, I'm going to make sure that you have my contact information.
Cynthia?
Yes.
I have two questions for you. This is Jody in Portland. First of
all,
awesome,
good.
When you're talking about textbooks that the students have access to, like we're doing in 805, is there any thought about getting those as audiobooks also?
Oh, what? Okay. Is there any thought about getting those as audiobooks? I am so glad that came up. We actually need to pursue that probably as our next opportunity, because something we have to be really aware of are accessibility options. And accessibility is a huge, huge thing, particularly when you're dealing with textbooks. I have found that the accessibility for these types of books as audiobooks, it all depends upon the publisher. And sometimes we can talk to a publisher and their response is, well, we didn't even really think about that. However, that's something that we need to look at going forward. So I would say, yes, we need to, we really do need to add that as an additional consideration. So I'm really glad that came up.
Well, some of my students drive a long ways to class, and so it would be nice if they had the audiobooks. So that's
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Kind of a side note to that. I was trying like mad to find an ebook that another professor had requested as a textbook, and I contacted the publisher directly, and the publisher's response was, well, no, we're not going to make that available as an ebook, as a textbook. You know, people have to pay for it. And I thought, well, yeah, that's true, but you're going to be losing some customers that way. So that's a really good consideration on driving a long distance and being able to listen to chapters. So I appreciate that. I'm going to make a note of that, and I'm also going to pass that on to my dean.
Cool. So
thank you.
The other question, Cynthia, was, and thank you again for this incredible amount of information. Is there a maximum number of interlibrary loans or articles that my students can get at a distance?
Okay, maximum, I would say that there's really no particular maximum regardless of locations. So which is kind of nice. It doesn't necessarily matter whether you're on campus or off campus. Having said that, we have one person and probably about 3 student assistants handling interlibrary loan for our entire university. So what I would recommend is for any student, doesn't matter where you are, if you find that you have quite a few articles that you need to request through interlibrary loan. If you can stagger those requests, I think that would help us considerably. And also, if there are any that have higher priority than others, go ahead and do those first. If you have some others that you think be kind of nice to get, but maybe I don't need those right away, if you can kind of hold off for a few days and then request those like, in the next week, that would help us in terms of the workload. So no limit as far as a policy is concerned, but I would just kind of think about, what you really, really do need.
Okay, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Any other questions?
Cynthia, we have a question here in Boise.
Fantastic.
Hi.
Hi.
I was wondering on the stuff that can be like downloaded, whether you can get it in like a EPUB format or something that works in an e-reader versus just a PDF.
Okay, so specifically for the EBSCOhost ebooks that we have through the library, those will be available if you want to check those out and download that, kind of check those out virtually for 14 days. Those will pop up. Let's go back to our result list here. Actually, let's go back real quick if you don't mind, because I wanted to go back to that one book that I found. Let's do Public Libraries and Program. And we'll do ebooks on the next screen. Here we go. I'm going to go back to that one book we were looking at. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and log back in again. That's the one thing about the discovery search. Sometimes you have to click on hello guest again. It might time you out, but then if you're okay with that, then you can just log back in again. Okay, so let's go back to PDF full text here. Okay, so you notice that if it's an EBSCOhost ebook, it will usually offer the PDF full text option or the EPUB full text option. If it is an ebook from another publisher, PDF may be your only option. I'm thinking about Project Muse that has ebooks. I think they only offer PDFs. So that, unfortunately, is a decision that's not up to us. It's up to the publisher. We do try to look for alternative formats whenever we can, though. So does that help a little bit?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. That's a good question.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. I think that's what we have here in Boise.
Okay, great. Anything from Emporia? Or from Oregon again?
No, we're fine, Cynthia. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, I don't want to cut everybody off, but I'm not seeing any other questions right now. I promised that I was going to show you my contact information. So we're going to go back over here, and I'm going to go back to the library's webpage. And again, please, please contact me if you have any questions about library research or, oh, I see some chats over here. I want to make sure I was catching my chats. Oh, yes, sign up deadline for academic writer. Thank you for asking that. I appreciate that. I would say, we haven't been given a specific deadline by APA. Having said that, I'd say that if you could sign up by the Friday before, I think that probably would be sufficient. Basically, they need to have registrations in advance for faculty and for students so that they know how many materials to provide, because I think they're going to be providing quite a few materials. Faculty, the faculty sessions we have 2 faculty sessions from 11:30 to 12:30 on Tuesday and Wednesday, and we're going to include a box lunch with those for faculty, which is kind of nice. So I'd say the Friday before would be just fine, and I'll send out information on that as well. And if you have any problems registering for the academic writer sessions for faculty or for students, just holler at me if you would, and I'd be happy to help you with that. So I'm going to go back over here under About Us. And you can reach me if you need to call me and you're off campus. Dial 620-341 and then 5480 for me. I do have voicemail, so you can always reach me there. My email address is ckane1, numeral 1, CKANE1 at emporia.edu. You do have to include the 1 because otherwise it will not work. But again, if you need to contact me through email or call me at 620-341-5480, please do that, and I would be more than happy to help you with anything that you need. Hopefully you all are feeling a little bit better now if you were a little bit anxious about how to do research, but I know you're going to do great. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to end our recording and sign off now. And for the Emporia people, I'll see you in about an hour and 15 minutes in the Learning Commons of the library, and we'll go from there. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you.
You're welcome.